Faded cobalt paint encased the house's shingled body, peeling like sunburned skin. Weathered wood boarded every window. It was like the place was guarding against a hurricane decades in the making. And it was like the neighbors knew. Football field-sized gaps sat between our property and the single-family ranch homes on either side. They hunkered low, less than half the height of our monstrosity. The longer I stared, the more my chest tightened under my seatbelt. The house's steep rooflines towered with octagonal turrets and sharply gabled dormers, masking the layout inside. It felt like the kind of puzzle that if you stared long enough, revealed a whole new picture, one hiding smugly just under the surface. There had to be some reason it had sat empty so long. Maybe the neighbors in their flinching houses knew something I didn't. Worse, maybe Mom knew something I didn't. All this time, she'd been holding us up in a 2-bedroom apartment a couple counties over, and she'd made this place sound like some rinky-dink shack. "Mom?" I said finally. "I thought you said this house was worthless." "No." Mom hid her hands in her lap, tearing at her thumb's cuticle, a habit I'd inherited but she'd tried to kick to set an example. "It wasn't the best fit for us before, but I couldn't have said worthless." She had definitely said worthless. It was only since my stint in the hospital that Mom had started singing this house's praises. Suddenly decided this was the place for us after all. Anything to get me into a new school before the fall crept up on us. I looked over my shoulder at Vivi, hoping she'd help me call Mom out. She'd been there for the same conversations I had. But she ducked my glance. "It's great, Mom," she said, though her chirping voice came out uncertain, a little thin. "Maybe we could check out the inside? Right, Libby?" Likely she was prodding me to play along for Mom's sake. And she was probably right. I should. For better or worse, this was our new home, and I wanted to love it. The old-timey embellishments weren't without their charm. The size was astounding. I just couldn't shake the strange sensation gnawing at my brain that something was wrong. Maybe it was me who was wrong. I'd caused a lot of misery lately. I owed it to Mom and Vivi to make them feel good. "Sorry, Mom. I was just surprised," I lied dutifully. Once I adjusted to my new medicine, Dr. Glazer said it would get easier to smile. For now, I had to settle for a stiff flash of teeth and hope I didn't look as much like a grinning skeleton as I felt. "Give us the grand tour." "The grand tour?" "Yes," Mom echoed with new life. A little color flushed back into her white cheeks, and she fluffed her shoulder-length brown curls like it was showtime. This time, I'd said the right thing. I followed Mom and Vivi out of the car, past the white spiked fence. On the cracked front walkway, I craned my neck until it twinged, peering at the house overhead. This place delighted in asymmetry. The whole thing felt unsteady, like any second it might topple down to crush us. And yet I couldn't look away. You didn't take your eyes off a snake sizing up your ankle. Somehow this place filled me with the same uneasy impulse. "Don't you love all this ornamental trim? That's called gingerbread. Isn't that sweet?" Mom cooed, in full saleswoman mode. "And the yard needs some sprucing, but can you believe the potential?" She swept her arms around like the star of some musical, inviting Vivi and me to join her on stage. We nodded and managed the appropriate murmurs of admiration, but the yard was a patchy yellow, sun-dried to straw. Even the stray dandelions had been reduced to scraggly stems. Maybe it had been less bedraggled when Mom had lived here as a kid, but decades of neglect had amounted to decades of decay. Strangely, the only plants thriving were the shaggy bushes that wrapped around the base of the house and the inner perimeter of the fence. Glossy leaves, blue buds. They pulsed with cicadas, buzzed with wasps, and they bloomed in the early July heat, oblivious to the steaming roads and sidewalks. "Blue roses," Mom told us, if you can believe it.